What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. This is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
What is up, man? What's going on, everybody tuning in live? Good to see everybody again, or I guess we're not seeing you, but good to be back for a Thursday
Glad you
night.
can see us again.
Yeah, right. I don't know if anybody's happy about that, but it's good to be back. Another Thursday night. We're kind of back in our normal time slot. I'm much more sober for this show than I was last week, so this should be a good show. I'm very much looking forward to it.
How many White Claws you got hanging out there on your table there?
No, I had 9 by the end of the show last week.
Yeah, what people don't know is he kept texting and kept drinking as the night went on. We recorded fairly early on that day, if you remember. So, yeah, I don't know what the final count was, but you got your White Claw turkey on. I don't know what you called.
Yeah, it was. We killed some claws. There's no doubt about it tonight. But no, sober tonight, so that's good. Maybe I don't know. Maybe people would prefer that I'd start drinking. I got a few in there if you want me to start, but
I
I'll stay away from it overall. I felt like I should probably not. So
I'm just drinking coffee tonight. I needed the energy. It's cold. It's nasty. We had a little snowish stuff this morning. So welcome to December. But yeah, welcome to everybody that's joining us live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, Periscope/Twitter. If if you're listening live, thank you, and ask your questions as we go along. We're going to talk Cigar Mile. We're going to talk some of the racing that we had or we have this weekend as well. Big show coming up. And again, if you're listening to this after the fact, tune in on Thursdays. We usually try to shoot for the Thursday evening time slot. About right now, it's 6:00 Central. It's about what time we shoot for on Thursdays to do these live. So just subscribe to any of our social media channels and you'll get alerted when we are doing these live. But did you have a good Thanksgiving? And what'd you think of the Thanksgiving racing?
I liked the racing. The racing I thought was very good. Thanksgiving, I mean, I stayed at home. All my family had COVID, or we were afraid they were going to give us COVID, so we didn't go to anywhere. So we had a Cracker Barrel for Thanksgiving. So that was a lot of fun. You know what? It was pretty good, honestly. We kind of, it was like, 4 or 5 in the evening. We kind of looked at each other after, we'd ate Cracker Barrel and just kind of hung out and said, maybe we should just try to do this every year. This was pretty nice. So.
It's like, who are we trying to impress here? Like it's good food and no mess and none of the deal with the family shits. Like, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, we called in Cracker Barrel at like 12:30 and it was ready at 1 and they brought it right to the car. We didn't have to get out and we're back home. It's like, damn, not bad at all. So, mine was great, dude. How about you?
It was good. We kind of different from you. I've had it. My whole family's had it. My immediate family. So we all went to my parents' house and just a handful of my sister, her family, and me, and my parents and the kids and stuff. And we just hung out all day and ate a lot of food, and it was good. It was perfect because you didn't have all the family, so it was just like you got just the right amount of family, and you didn't really have to worry about the COVID stuff because like I said, we've all had it. So no, it was good. It was a little weird. The football side of things, I felt like this year, it just didn't have the same. First of all, the game sucked, and then second of all, it just doesn't. A mixture of COVID and obviously the night game got canceled. Probably for good reason because it was awful when it was yesterday as well. But no, I mean, it's just kind of a weird from that standpoint. But the racing was awesome, and I'll jump right into my best thing I saw because I wanted to mention her on and she ran over the weekend is Travel Calm. I mean, this filly, we talked about her last week on the show. I made her my pick in the race. And I thought, this is her chance to rebound. Big time purchase, a lot of hype. And Travel Calm, just unbelievable in the goldenrod. Just got the worst of trips. I mean, this horse may have been 100 lengths the best in this race, and just did everything to basically lose the race. It had bad trip, bad start. I mean, just everything. And she was just loaded. And obviously Brad Cox pretty much can't do anything wrong at this moment. And Travel Calm, obviously big time purchase, big time ownership, but the everything's there, the breeding's there. So she feels like, to me, one of those Oaks horses. And we have some Oaks horses running this weekend as well. That are going to be, I feel like, going to be big time prospects. But right now she's on the top of my list.
Yeah, and she finished faster than Keep Me in Mind, who won the boys' version of that race. So that's another, positive. And really, the whole race, I thought, oh boy, Jared is going to be so mad at this race because his horse that he picked is so much the best, but there's no way she's going to win. And she just, man, finally found a hole really late in the ball game and just zoomed by everybody like they were standing still. And by the way, this was a horse that likes to be towards the front. And because of the break that you mentioned, was way towards the back. That was not the plan, And then, and like you said, not only are you way towards the back, but, we got that horse into so much trouble the entire way around. So, yeah, it was great to see. And then the other Cox horse, Inspector Frost, in the Kentucky Jockey Club, he was just an idiot the whole time. Like he was sitting in a pretty good spot, and I thought, well, Jared might get them both here, but he just wouldn't relax and calm down at all, and just had nothing left. And then Keep Me in Mind gets up and beats Smiley Sobotka there at the end. But I'm glad that I picked Keep Me in Mind, but that really wasn't a performance like you got with Travel Column where you're excited. It's just like, well, we hit the bet, but that's not a great horse, I
feel like that race at least gave us a very clear-cut measuring stick,
Sure.
It was there wasn't a lot of excuses. Keep Me in Mind's been running some pretty good races, seconds, and underneath these good horses. Mm-hmm. And then he did what he was supposed to do, which was beat lesser competition, and he did it what he was. So you know what I mean? Like it felt like it showed us more about who he's been facing than it did about that race in particular.
Well, he's going to be a horse, in my opinion, that's going to hit the board in a lot of Derby preps. Seconds, thirds, coming on late, really never threatening to win the race, but getting enough points. I would not be shocked at all if Keep Me in Mind's in the Kentucky Derby, just because I just think, he's going to run in a lot of races. He's going to drop back to last, and he's just going to pass the tired horses. So he's going to be a valuable horse, I think, in our fantasy league, because I do think he's going to rack up points, but he's not a serious contender unless he improves by a lot. But he's a solid horse, and I think that's all you could really say about him. Where Travel Column, it's like, yeah, she might win the Kentucky Oaks. Or Keep Me in Mind, it's like he's not going to win the Derby,
Yeah, but the issue is, and we've seen it before with these Cox horses. This early, can he get that horse to the Kentucky Oaks?
Yeah, it can be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for sure. With not just Cox, but anybody. Anybody, and that's the trick, right? So we'll see what happens.
All right. So what's the best thing you kind of teased it before we hopped on air, and obviously I could have said I did everyone a favor. I could have said Mahomes and beating Brady in the Bucks, and what felt like it should have been a blowout, and it felt like a blowout the entire game, yet they almost lost. I could have talked about Mahomes and how he's just the most unbelievable, and him and Tyreek Tyreek, I feel like they could have set the receiving record that day. You had Tyreek on your fantasy team, and we were watching it together, and you could not be happier. Yeah. Had over, what do you have, 200 yards in the first quarter?
Yes.
It was just insane. I mean, it's a cheat code what these guys are doing. So I could talk about that, but I didn't. So I want to hear what the best thing you saw today was.
I've got 4. I have got 4.
Okay.
I was gonna mention 3, but here's another one, and I don't know if you used our picks today to hit the pick 5, the late pick 5 at Aqueduct, but we hit the late pick 5 at Aqueduct with the premium products, so that's awesome. I don't know if you used ours or used your own, but it's great. We hit it. That was awesome. So there's one. The second thing, also horse rated related, and this is where 2020 is getting wild. It went off the hook this week for me. Okay. Out of nowhere, 3 things happened in my life. Number 1, Gulfstream Park is running races on time. Out of nowhere, they've eliminated post-time drag.
Of course, 2020, right? Is that what it is? Can we not have one thing normal in 2020?
It was an hour before the race, and Jason Blewett was the first one to tweet. He goes, "We are starting promptly at 11:35." And I said, "Yeah, effing right." Such a liar. And then all of a sudden it starts coming in. We're running it on time. We're running on time. They were running like a scroll underneath the race on the simulcast. It said, "We are starting on time." I don't know if it stays, but that's pretty awesome, right? So I was very pumped about that, as was everybody else. It'll be interesting to see their handle numbers. If they decrease, they're going to do it again where they drag the post out. Well, we'll see what happens. So that was exciting. Third thing, like half the defensive coaching staff at OU has COVID. So guess who is coaching this week at OU? Bob Stoops, who is the legendary coach at Oklahoma, retired in 2016, is back on the sideline this week because he has to be. He has to coach because OU doesn't have any defensive coaches.
Well, they might actually stop somebody with him on the sideline.
I wouldn't bet on it, but still, it's like that's crazy. So what would top that, though, right? What would top it, Jared?
It would. I don't know. I mean,
all right. I've told everybody in a prior life, my first website that I actually ran was a wrestling website, right? So everybody knows I'm into wrestling or used to be into wrestling. I haven't in a long time. Last night, I'm scrolling through Twitter getting ready for bed, right? And Sting has tweeted a video of him. And I'm like, well, what in the hell is this? Sting is back. He came, a 61-year-old Sting returned to wrestling last night. I turn on SportsCenter. It's on SportsCenter. I don't know why. Like, I didn't know wrestling got coverage on SportsCenter. Sting is back. It's his new league. It's ADW. It's been around for.
So he actually wrestled?
No, he didn't actually wrestle. Thank God. He's 61. Let's really hope he doesn't wrestle. But how cool is it that he's back? I mean, I went crazy. I immediately went to YouTube and watched the whole thing. The lights went out like it used to back in WCW.
Man. They play the music?
They played his music. He came out like he had the bat. He was like mysterious crow Sting, you know?
Yep.
I went crazy, man. Like the little kid in me will always love Sting.
I'm going to totally watch that whenever we get off here because that was me too. I had the mask.
Yes.
The little plastic mask you could wear.
Yep.
I think I went to 2 or 3 Slamborees, the pay-per-views at the time. I'm with you. I wasn't quite like you, but man, it was. I honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. I did not know. I kind of thought I'd seen bits and pieces of Sting, like kind of periodically through on social media or whatever. Like I didn't know he was gone. Like I thought. How long has he been retired? So
he's been gone for about 4 years, or no, maybe even more than that. It's been 4 or 5 years. He had a real brief stint in the WWE. Basically, just hey, we're going to induct you in the Hall of Fame. Come wrestle for a couple of months. It was stupid, but he had been gone for a while. And what happened? His last match to WWE, he got hurt pretty bad, and they were like, "Well, that's it for you. I don't think you can wrestle."
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, I mean, he was 55 at that time. You know, now he's 61. He's back. I think AEW. They have like Jim Ross is kind of in charge of it. I think he's one of the announcers. Tony Schiavone, the old WCW announcer, is also there. So it's on TNT, which WCW was on. So it has kind of a WCW like feel to it. First time Sting had been on TNT since 2001.
Wow.
When he wrestled Ric Flair on the last ever Monday Nitro match. So just an amazing, like I guarantee you, Jared, it will get you going. Just seeing, I don't know. It was just, if you were a fan of Sting, it'll get you going. It was cool. I remember Sting. I can remember going to the Shrine Mosque in 1991 when Sting had bleach blonde hair and the colorful face paint to watch him wrestle. I also went to the Shrine Mosque when he was the Crow and watched him wrestle. So it was great. I totally geeked out for like 30 minutes last night watching all the YouTube clips of it.
I tell you what, my 2 favorite intros I think of wrestlers were Sting, obviously, and oddly enough, he just retired. Undertaker.
Yes.
I saw that he retired finally. But his intro when he would come out was just unbelievable too. Yep. And he was just a legend, kind of a similar character in a sense to Sting, just kind of a dark figure. But no, it's crazy that it'd be amazing to like almost say like Cohen could almost watch Sting at the same age I was when I was watching Sting.
Well, you think about how big of a legend the guy is to span that long and still like the crowd. There was only like, 1,000 people in the state in the arena because they're all spread out, COVID protocols or whatever. But those people were going nuts, and it's like he's still that over. It's crazy, but he's a legend. Yeah, Undertaker was great. I also loved the Ultimate Warrior, his entrance because he just flew as fast as he could down to the ring and went crazy. But yeah, Undertaker, the first time I ever saw Undertaker, I was very little. And I was scared.
I was scared, yeah.
Yeah, I was legitimately scared of Undertaker for a long time. So,
yeah, it's
Michael Myers asked, "Did you like the biker version of Undertaker?" No, that's not the Undertaker.
No, that's like two different people. But
yeah, exactly.
No, my favorite is when either character, but mostly it would be Sting. It'd be like it'd be like all believe it or not, it's fake. And whenever they were like, they would be different people would be in the ring, and all of a sudden the lights would go out and the music would start playing. You're just like, and it all like, oh shit! Like, and then when he like randomly appeared in rafters, and he came down from the rafters once, and just, I mean, it was almost like a new era for wrestling when he evolved into the Crow, like you said, because they just let him do whatever the hell he wanted to in terms of kind of coming from different places, and he had the black bat.
Yep.
Just really cool. So what did you think when he went, not to make this a whole podcast about wrestling, but the Wolfpack? When he went Wolfpack, what did you think?
Yeah, I didn't hate it. It was a babyface, stable, so it was okay. I don't know. It allowed him to be more of like, he had the red face paints and he had the long hair, but he was more like his old self as far as like in the 90s, early 90s, when he was flamboyant and on the mic a lot and stuff like that. You remember the Crow version? He didn't talk, and so I think it helped him be more of his old character without having to do the crew top at like 45 and so I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I think a guy like him, he doesn't need to be part of a stable. He's on his own, like he's a superstar. Don't put him in with like Kevin Nash. Like I always hated Kevin Nash. I think he's way overrated, but that's another. Well, again, we could go in for late 90s, early 2000 wrestling forever.
Well, we have sports on the site, and we're going to definitely be evolving that in 2021. Maybe we need to add wrestling to the mix, and just we can just you can be in charge of the podcast. And
well, the great thing is, if we add wrestling, you're not going to have to hire anybody, because I'm an experienced wrestling writer. So
wow, you have that on your resume. What's oddly enough is I feel like wrestling gets more of a like actual sport than like on ESPN or what, like the mainstream sports media, than horse racing does. So we would fit right in terms of having sports on the site. So I wanted to touch on this real quick, Michael. I thought this was funny because it's like, how many people were like, I got time, and then they miss it and like, oh shit. And then what's going to even piss you off more is when you start putting your bets on time, or you think on time, and then you have the drag again. And I feel like they're just, especially when you have the rainbow days or the payouts where you have these, they're going to milk it. Obviously, there's no way they don't. I think they're messing with you, Michael.
Listen, Michael, I would have missed it because I had my alarm set to go off about 11:41 because post time's 11:35 and they'll run at 11:42. I have it figured out what they're doing. It's 7 to 10 minutes. It starts 7 minutes and then it's 10 minutes by the end of the card. They always stretch it out. So I happened to turn it on. I'm going to be real honest, because I thought Acacia would be on the preview show for the first 5 minutes. That's the only reason I turned it on about 15 minutes before. And then they were running that across the screen of, hey, we're starting on time. And that's the only reason I didn't miss it.
So but you did miss Acacia.
Well, Acacia's in quarantine. I found that out later because I went. Well, she wasn't on, and I thought, is she not coming back? Like, is she going to stay up at Naira and do the shows or whatever? And I went on, and she has to be in quarantine. I guess she's been in New York, and now she's down in Florida, so they can't just like throw her in. So,
well, it's
she'll be on next week.
Know where your priorities are. Tuning in for Acacia. All right, let's get to today's show. We're going to preview the 250,000 Cigar Mile Handicap from Aqueduct, then give rapid-fire selections for the other major stakes races running at Aqueduct and Los Alamitos, including Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks prep races. Let's go!
Funny thing is, I'm not joking. That's why I turned it on.
I don't think anybody thought you were joking.
Oh, okay.
I didn't anyways. I knew what you were talking about. I knew your priorities. That's why I would watch it. So
I thought, well, opening day, this could be pretty good. I mean,
yeah, exactly. She would. Yeah, never mind. I won't say anything else. All right. All right. So get your questions ready. We're gonna go cigar, and then we're gonna go rapid fire. The other 3 stakes on the undercard of cigar, and then the Starlet at Del Mar. So we've got Heather knows.
She knows. Yeah,
She knows.
she knows.
We've actually got two Oaks races and a Derby race. I mean, I don't know how many legit contenders we have, but we've got a lot of them. So,
yep.
All right. 3. Wait, hang on. Put this up there. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, the main event on Saturday, race 10 at Aqueduct, the Cigar Mile Handicap, the grade 1 with $250K this year. It's a handicap for 3-year-olds and up, going 1 mile, field of 9. Lines up for this one, 7-5 on the 1 Performer, your morning line favorite, 5-2 on Friends Fires, 9-2 on King Guillermo. That's right, King Guillermo is back, baby. I'm sure the fans are pumped about this. Part of me wants King Guillermo to just romp, just to piss them off.
Oh yeah.
But that's the field of 9, and those are really your main contenders. But Performer finally gets a crack at grade 1 company. So what you think?
Well, I'll make it real quick with him. I went with him on top. I've been waiting for the day that this horse gets a chance to prove himself against, grade 1 competition. I didn't say top-notch competition because this certainly is not, but it is grade 1 competition, at least by the label. So I went with him on top. I'm excited to watch him run. I do think it's a little bit trickier, though, than what I thought it would be. He draws the rail. I don't love that for him. And he does have to face a number 4 Friends Fire who's very classy. I don't necessarily think a mile is his best game, but he is a class racehorse. I mean, you can't hit the board and win as many races as Friends Fire has without being a challenge here. So he's in pretty good form. He was 3rd last time out the Breeders' Cup Sprint. So listen, they're the 2 favorites, but I think they're the 2 most logical winners of this race. So I'll start off and just say number 1 Performer. I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I think it's he. This horse is coming in. He lost on debut. It's kind of a weird horse, right? He's 4 years old, and we've only seen him 6 times. He's won 5 of them. He lost his debut back in November 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and this horse is going to be running for only the 7th time. Ran in November, then was off until June. And then it came back and rattled off, was undefeated in 2019. And then we haven't seen this horse until he came back last month, in October. And he wins again. Rosario's ridden this horse every time this horse has won. Rosario's back to ride. So it's very odd, kind of an odd horse in a sense that he's dominating, but he's never really been a name that we kind of remember because he's just always gone, right? But he certainly has got the ability. I mean, shit, look at the way this horse is, he's beaten good horses in the past. I mean, he's beaten your favorite horse, Tax, in the Discovery, and that's his only graded stakes win, which happened to be his career high buyer of 102. Listen, he likes the distance. He likes Aqueduct. I agree. The rail maybe adds a little bit of pause at 7-5, especially, and I agree with you. I think Friends Fire, you can't discount that horse, even though he maybe isn't quite the same horse as he was with Service. He's still really damn classy, and if he wins, you'll be pissed. So, to me, you got to play him, and then I think you have to play. In my opinion, you have to play King Guillermo because he very well could be maybe the best horse in the race. Like he's another one we just don't know. I mean, I haven't seen him since the Arkansas Derby where he finished 2nd to Nadal, who was very, very good, obviously. He won the Tampa Bay Derby. This is just a weird horse, right? One that we just, he finished 2nd. He wins Tampa Bay Derby. Then they hold him off all the way until the Arkansas Derby, and we just don't see him again, And so it's a very odd horse. Obviously, the horse has issues, so you kind of have play that factor. But when he was running, he was really good, and so I think those are the 3 that you have to play.
Yeah, I'll touch on King Guillermo a little bit as well. I think they actually got a huge break. They are not going to think that because they missed running in the Kentucky Derby, but I don't think that would have been great to come off that big of a layoff and run a 1.25 miles against the best horses in his division. I think that would have been really tough. Now you're going a 1-turn mile off of a layoff, so I think that's much easier than a 1.25 miles. And he just catches a field that's not that great. He might simply be more talented than the rest of these horses. So I'm with you. I think you have to play him. I'm not going to be shocked at all if he comes up and wins this race. Also, Jose Ortiz jumps aboard. I think that's just another great sign. He's not going to jump aboard just anybody here. So
right.
I think King Guillermo for sure. The other one that reluctantly I threw on the ticket was number 5, Mr. Buff. I say reluctantly because every time he steps out against Graded Stakes Company, he gets his ass beat. But our boy Magic kind of talked me into it because he said, hey, he's at a distance that he really likes. And this isn't the Whitney, where it's improbable and by my standards and times the tough. He said this is a much easier grade 1 for him. He said this is really like a grade 2 or 3, so maybe he'll have better luck here. So yeah, I said okay, I'm going to throw him on as the 4th horse. He's awfully good against New York breds. And when he faces New York breds, he runs figures that can beat these horses in the race, that he's facing here. It's just that when he goes up against Graded Stakes Company, he doesn't run that fast. So we'll see. I'll throw him in there. I think he's worth a shot, especially if he's going to be 6-1 to kind of spice some things up.
Yeah, and I think for me, horses that if I'm playing any tries and things of that nature, which I wouldn't suggest because it could be very chalky. But if you are playing tries, I do think the Sisterson horses that True Timber and Bon Raison are very doable. They like this. They like Aqueduct and kind of just old time horses, that run a lot of races, and they are capable of hitting the board in this kind of race, like you say, because it's not. This is a watered down cigar, right?
Yeah.
At best. But no, I think that's why I think Performer is awful tough. And there's a lot of the kind of the theme of this podcast, I felt like, is you and I talked about this earlier, is like, I feel like a lot of these races, it's like you can go 1 or 2, 3 deep at most, but it's hard to kind of get to a lot of these horses. And we've mentioned this before, when you have these races like this and these days where the maybe it's lower caliber type stakes races, it's hard to kind of get to a long shot, because you're talking about a long shot in a very weak race. That's tough. It's tough to get there. So that's why I lean more towards on the Performers, and the Fringe Fires, and of course the King Guillermos.
Yeah, I think the one horse you mentioned that I'll agree with you on, the 15-1 shot, number 8, True Timber. That's just a horse that's always around. He's always around. No matter if it's in an allowance race or a grade 1, it just seems like he's there to hit the board at a big price. So I think he could do it here. Bon Raison, I'm not quite as high on. But, True Timber, I could definitely see it happen. And, Michael, you say single him in the 3rd spot. I don't think that's a bad strategy. Because he does have that look as one of those horses that can hit the board here.
Play the 1-4-6, and then single him in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad bet at all to do that. If you play that for $1, it costs you $6.
There you go.
It's not that bad of a bet. And if he comes in 3rd, and maybe King Guillermo wins, you could get 100 back there. I think easy. Yep.
All right. So what do you make of this race kind of overall? Obviously it's a weird year. Make no mistake. And obviously the Cigar is typically a pretty good race, but this year, we're more looking forward to what are these horses are going to do moving forward. Performer, obviously one of those that you hope can stay healthy, because we don't really know what he's capable of. Fringe Fire, we kind of know who he is. And then obviously the other clear one is King Guillermo, a horse that we saw very little of this year, but showed a lot of promise. So to me, King Guillermo and Performer, 2 horses that look to use this race as a springboard into a big 2021, right?
No, you said it absolutely perfect. Ever since the Pegasus has arrived onto the scene here, the Cigar Mile and the Clark, we look to those to produce Pegasus starters. And that's what we're going to do here. And I think you hit it right on the head. Who are the 2 horses that could springboard from this race onto the Pegasus? Performer and King Guillermo. Absolutely. And you said it right. We know what Fringe Fire is. He's not going to the Pegasus. Mr. Buff, if he wins, he's not going to the Pegasus. It's Performer and King Guillermo. And they're also the 2 that could actually be really, really good. Right. Or the class may hit them in the face here. So yeah, those are the 2 you're going to look at. And those are the 2, if one of those 2 win, you're going to kind of be excited, and you're going to kind of think, well, maybe we can use them in the Pegasus down the road. It's a good prep for those 2 if they want to try it.
I tell you what, man, and you know this, but the Pegasus is really shaping up to be a very
Yep.
interesting race. Not just from a standpoint of, if Monomoy goes there from a star power, but you've got some, Mucho Gusto's been in training again. You got to think that's where they're shooting for that one. You've got a lot of horses that are kind of pointing to the Pegasus that it's going to add a very intriguing betting race.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mucho Gusto, if they could get him back, I've heard he's going to run on the 26th of the December on that Malibu card, and that'll springboard him to the Pegasus, like you said. I've heard Nick's Go is now definitely thinking or definitely pointing towards the Pegasus. And I think the results of the Clark, while they may have made us mad with our betting, it's going to be interesting when they switch over to the Pegasus, because Bodie Express, all of a sudden, you have to take serious in the Pegasus, where he's one you could have thrown out. Code of Honor did not run terrible in that race, and Owendale ran pretty good, and you think he was probably going to show up. So, if you get those three and we get a couple that run well here, Mucho Gusto, you're starting to get a really good, and then Nick's Go, throw him in there. That's going to be a really tough race. So, yeah, a lot to be excited about, especially after it kind of fell off a little bit. When Mucho Gusto and Higher Power are the two top betting choices in it last year, it wasn't great, but maybe we can kind of get back into a really good Pegasus field this year.
Yeah. Shout out to Bodie Express who ran awesome. Like you said, and if he goes to the Pegasus, he obviously loves Gulfstream Park, and you've got to take him serious now. He don't forget, not long ago he finished second. Was it Maximum Security? Wasn't it Maximum Security, right? In the Florida Derby. So, I mean, this is a horse that obviously, and then of course he's known for throwing his jockey off in the Preakness. But prior to that, he's always been kind of a horse that's kind of we talk about, and obviously finally wins a Grade 1. And yeah, I mean, he's one that you kind of have to take serious. And just like we talked about here, the winner of this race, you would think, if it's one of these that we think is going to win. So your final pick is Performer, right?
Yep, Performer for me.
All right, me too. We're both on number 1, Performer.
The thing I hate about Bodie Express is, you kind of get on him in spots and he just sucks. And then he wins and you get on Twitter and everybody's like, oh, I knew he could do it. It's like, if you've tailed that horse his whole career, you are broke. You didn't bet that race because you're out of money, Yeah. I hate a horse like that. It's just,
oh yeah.
When they do, it's like when Tacitus won his one race last year. Everybody's like, I knew it. I knew he was good. It's like, give me a break.
Well, don't forget that Bodie went off at like 20-something to 1, and if everyone on Twitter bet, that said they bet him, he wouldn't have been 20 to 1.
Yeah. I was happy for him, though. I thought the key to him, just real quick before we go on, is he stopped the pace. Like when he gets in those big races, he's just been fast, way too fast, too quick. He stopped the pace. So I don't know. I thought that was the big key. And if he can show that consistently, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's not like, was it a surprising result? Yes, but at the same time, I mean, he's always shown some ability for the most part, or at least shown flashes of big ability. Mm-hmm. Is it a matter of, I don't know, is it a matter of code tailing off some? I mean, I thought he ran well, but it just seems like he does the same thing where he makes a little bit of a run each time and then just doesn't quite have that punch. And I feel like you're kind of getting to the point with code where you're like, well, go a little longer. Well, or like in the Met Miles, like, well, he ran really good. And you're just like, well, some point you got to win a race,
Yep.
He's frustrated as hell.
Is he becoming a little bit of a Tacitus? Yes, he is a little bit,
Yeah, he is.
That one was really frustrating because, again, you watch that race, it's like, well, he really ran pretty well. But like you said, you have to win eventually.
At some point you got to win.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I don't know. I'm probably just going to use him underneath, but it's a long way to the Pegasus. We'll see.
All right. You ready? Let's do we're going to start with the rims in, which is the Derby. 3, 2, 1. Time for rapid fire, presented by the Inside Track to the 2020 Cigar Mile Wagering Guide. Get this all-inclusive 8-page wagering guide to the 2020 Cigar Mile. This Saturday at Aqueduct features in-depth analysis of all 4 stakes on the card, including the $250K Cigar Mile Handicap that we just talked about, plus get bonus race by race analysis, betting suggestions, and multi-race plays for Aqueduct's entire Saturday card. So we just talked about the cigar. We're going to talk about the other 3 stakes races. But if you want to know exactly how we're playing this card, how we're playing the multis, how we're playing each race, the tries, the exactas, the supers, whatever, go get the guide, racingdudes.com on the products page. All right, let's kick things off with the Derby prep. How about race 4 on the program earlier on the card at Aqueduct? Race 4, the Rimson Stakes, grade 2 worth $150K for 2-year-olds going 1 1/8 miles. 10-4-2-1 for your top 4 finishers. And I say this every year, and it never gets old. I don't know why we run a 1/8 race as 2-year-olds. We've got to fill the 5. And this is the longest these horses will run until, if they even make it that far, to the final prep before the Kentucky Derby in April. But you're sitting here at 8-5 on Known Agenda, 2-1 on 10-for-10. It's only a fill to 5. Like I said, picking time is 5-2, 7-2 on Brooklyn Strong, and Irwan is 15-1. So really, besides Irwan, I should say, four of these horses have legit shots. But my 2 questions is who you like, and 2, do you think any of these horses are legit contenders moving forward?
Yeah, let me start with the second question first. No, I really don't. And I don't even think these horses, are great for the next start they're going to run in, let alone the Kentucky Derby. I don't really like any of these horses. Known Agenda can certainly win this race. I'm not saying he can't. He's 8-5. And I really think this horse is a plotter, and a lot of times I would say, well, a plotter's not going to win a big time 2-year-old race, but here a plotter could definitely win. So I don't blame anybody to play Known Agenda, probably deserving 8-5. And I went with a horse that got waxed last time out in the Nashua, but I went with number 5, 10-for-10 on top. 2 big reasons why. Number 1, really looks like the lone speed to me. This horse really looks like he's going to get out in front by a ways, like maybe 2 or 3 lengths. And if he does, and the horses that are behind him are just kind of meh as far as closing, I think he could take him wire to wire and never look back, especially if you get to thinking, first time these horses go 1 1/8, they might be a little tired turning for home. And if they are, well, the horse that's out ahead may just hold on by default. So 10-for-10 for me as a pace play looks pretty good. Also, the horse gets Jose Ortiz back. Not that it was Cancel's fault last time out that the horse lost, but, gets Cancel back. I think that's gets Ortiz back. I think that's a big factor. And, you also look, his 2 races around 1 turn, he lost. And his race around, actually, that's wrong. The 1 16th was at Belmont. So this will be his first time around 2 turns. But his race going a mile or longer, I'll say, he won, and he won really easily. And so I think he gets that same pace setup that he got in that maiden win 2 back. And I think he'll just be tough to pass. Yeah, I mean,
to me, this is fairly straightforward. I'm playing the 2 horses you mentioned, Known Agenda and 10-for-10. I think it's as simple as, 10-for-10 goes to the lead, and Known Agenda is, can that horse catch it? And that's really, it's simple as that. Known Agenda is exactly a plotter. That's what he is. He's sired by Curlin. I mean, the distance is no issue. I like the fact that he won last time out going this distance at Aqueduct as well. And on his debut, which is only 2 races back, lost to Highly Motivated, who Highly Motivated has come back to win 2 races. Including the stakes race last time out with the 96 buyer at Keeneland on the Breeders' Cup Day. So, I mean, this is a horse that, he got beat by that horse. Then this horse stretches out and is better and gets to the rider John Velasquez. And then, of course, St. Elias Stable, it's Pletcher, it's Curlin. This is at least has the potential of being a prospect towards the Kentucky Derby. Is it good enough? We'll see. I don't think so either. His numbers don't suggest it, surely. But going this distance in this kind of race, I think he's going to get there, and I think 10-for-10 and him are going to put it down on the stretch here. Can he get by him? We'll find out. But I like playing these 2 horses. I don't think you need Brooklyn Strong. To me, the angle I'm playing against him is just because Jose Ortiz won with him last time out in a stakes race, and he jumps over back to 10-for-10. Yeah. To me, that tells you, okay, well, he thinks at least that horse is better than Brooklyn Strong. And I also like the Pletcher. So those are the 2 I'm playing. So I'm on number 2, Known Agenda.
Did you, on picking time, was it the distance that kind of got you a little worried?
Yeah, I couldn't. I just felt like that horse was gonna just. I don't know. I get it. Like it's being stay thirsty, and it could get the distance. I just felt like that in the Nashua. I felt like 10 for 10. Really, just I don't know. Like I thought he'd be better than that, and I think he's a better horse, and so that's why stretching out to a mile and 8, I think he will be better than picking time. I mean, it's a horse that's been running consistently at 6 furlongs in a mile, and they jump up to here. I think it's going to be a little much for number one. So,
yeah, I think for 10 for 10, that 2-turn pace scenario is it's going to be a big plus. I think in that last race, 1-turn mile, he's smoking it on the front end a lot faster than he's going to have to 2 races back or the race coming up the rims. And I just think he's just going to be it's going to be a lot slower pace. He's just going to have a lot easier time.
I do think I wouldn't really be surprised if either one of these, the 5 and the 2, at least create some sort of. I mean, you got to imagine these horses, just who they're, especially the 2 being a Pletcher and saying the stable and the purchase and everything like that. I mean, you got to think this horse is at least they're eyeing the Derby. You know what I mean? Just imagine if that horse is good enough. But you got to think this horse will be showing up in some stakes races with any sort of good effort here.
No doubt. And we're at a real lack of horses to talk about after the top 2 right now. Essential Quality and Life is Good. So I think everybody's dying for another one to talk about. So I think no matter what the winner looks like here, they're going to be a little overhyped because we don't have anybody else to talk about.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think everyone, at least I am, is kind of like waiting, like on pause, like, okay, who else we have,
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're going to see that horse later in the year. I don't think we've seen him yet. If there's a horse that's better than Essential Quality and the Baffert horse. So,
yep.
All right. Next one. 3, 2, 1. Next up, race 6, the Go for One handicap. It's a grade 3. It's worth 100K. A handicap for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, going 1 mile. It's a field of 6 that lines up for this one. 4 to 5 on another Todd Pletcher horse, Nona Madeline, kind of cutting back a little bit. The one horse, 3 to 2 on Sharp Star, a very, very fast horse. And then you've got 8 to 1 on a few other ones in here and a 12 to 1. But really, it comes down to, are you playing Pletcher and Johnny V again here, or are you going to try to go with this kind of relatively unknown as far as trainer goes compared to Pletcher, but you get Jose Ortiz and Sharp Star, who that last race, I mean, goodness, that last race was impressive.
Yeah, it was, and that's why I am going to play Sharp Star for that reason. Also, both of her races at a mile have been pretty impressive wins. And look, Jose Ortiz back aboard. I think that's a great sign. When him and Hector De Paz team up, they do very well. So Sharp Star for me. I'm not real confident. I'm also not real excited for this race. Nona Madeline is the classiest horse in this spot by a good margin. But, I'm really not excited to play that horse at 4 to 5. Certainly can win and is one to use. And then I'll mention a long shot that I almost pulled the trigger with. Number 2, Portal Creek at 8 to 1 comes in from Parks for 10 Strike Racing. And 10 Strike can come up here sometimes and pull an upset in a stakes race. I put this as a must use on a ticket as well. So Portal Creek at 8 to 1 has won 2 in a row, 3 out of 4. Definitely a step up in class. But if you're going to step up to stakes company, probably the field you want to catch here. This isn't much. So I think she's got a shot to pull a little bit of upset. But on top, I'll go number 3, Sharp Star.
Yeah, that's where I ultimately landed too. I mean, I like Nona Madeline. I think cutting back to the mile is interesting for sure. But that last race for Sharp Star, winning by 15 out on the track, loves Aqueduct, loves this distance, 2 for 2 at the distance. Love the fact that you get Jose Ortiz back on board. Listen, I mean, I agree with my mind was like, oh, you got to almost expect a little bit of a bounce, but even a little bit of a bounce, and the horse should still be able to win, just because the numbers are that much better. Now, the thing that does concern you a little bit is this horse was basically an average 70 to 75 buyer horse, just very consistent, and then pops a 101. So then it's like, what the hell happened? So this is why I'm the fact that Jose jumps on board gives me confidence that I can trust at least another performance here out of the horse. But I'm also going to back that up with the Pletcher horse as well. I think I'm just going to play those two, to be honest. But Sharp Star, that performance was too good to go unnoticed. So I'm with you on number 3, Sharp Star.
Wish that race would have been a little better. It sucks.
Yeah, that one. Definitely going into that one, I definitely did not plan to pick Sharp Star. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. I never would have imagined picking that horse, but like you say, it sucks. So
yeah. Well, I handicapped it last night, and before the odds came out, and you look at the field, and it's like, oh God, no, Madeline's gonna be a huge favorite, and not that she deserves it, but it's like I don't want to play that kind of a favorite. If she wins, great, but I didn't want to put her on top. But I didn't think Sharp Star would be 3-2. I thought maybe a little higher than that. But
this one here, I think this is a good race.
I'm excited.
I like a few. To me, I'm more excited about the fillies.
Yes,
the 2-year-old fillies than I am the colts at this point. Because I feel like we've got a lot of potential. Maybe not monsters, but some good ones.
Yep.
Pletcher, man, it's the day of Pletcher. He's got a lot of good horses running at Aqueduct on Saturday. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, race 9, the Demozelle Stakes, grade 2 with $150K for fillies 2-year-olds going to 1 1/8 miles. Again, it's the filly version of the race we just talked about earlier with the Remsen, and this is a Kentucky Oaks prep race, 10-4-2-1 for your top 4 finishers. And it's headlined by, guess what? Another Pletcher, number 1, Malathot, 4-5 favorite, Todd Pletcher, Johnny V. Could be a big day for them. This filly looks unbelievable, but she's going to have her hands full. Bill Mott's got one in here with Rosario back to ride with 7-2 on. I knew I was going to mess this up. I practiced the name Millfuel, something like that. But that horse is very interesting to me. It's a Judd Mott horse. So to me, it looks like these two are the ones to beat in this race. What do you think?
So just real quick on the 3, last night when I was writing the preview, I kept calling it Millie Philly because your dog's name is Millie and my dog's name is Philly.
That's what I'm calling it now. That for now, like Millie Philly. Millie Philly. So do you like Millie Philly or do you like Malathot?
I like them both. I think they're the only two you have to use in this race. I really like both of them. I put Malathot on top though. This might be one of the best fillies in the country for her age, for a 2-year-old. I think she's this prime time contender in that division. But I do think Millie Philly's up and coming and could be tough to beat. I think it's a showdown between those two. Malathot on top, bred to really get this distance, no problem. And how about, and I don't know if you noticed this, but how about her dam, Dreaming of Julia? Now, that was a really damn good 2-year-old. If you remember her, kind of makes me feel old that now she's got a baby of racing age. By Curlin, I mean, this is almost like a dream, pairing for me as far as 2 horses I really liked. So yeah, really excited to see Malathot here. But yeah, Millie Philly, also a horse that up and coming, really nice win last time out. Kind of the Bill Mott way, lost on debut, but looked really good. And usually that's kind of the story of a Bill Mott horse that turns out to be good. They lose the first race, but it's close. And then they come out next time out and dominate. And now we're right into a stakes. So that definitely fits the Bill Mott pattern. I think we got a showdown here, but I put Malathot on top.
Well, you talk about, the breeding of Malathot. I mean, obviously there's a reason why Shadwell, spent, $1 million on the horse. I mean, this is like you say, this is probably at least potentially is one of the best fillies running in the country right now, 2-year-olds. And we're going to see a few running on Saturday. So I really think that's between those two. I mean, what can you? I mean, you got a Curlin and you got 2 Curlins. I'm sorry, and then you've got a Judd Mott Farm and a Shadwell going up, and then you got Bill Mott and Todd Pletcher. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just. And then both horses looked awesome in their last starts. I really liked Millie Philly. I'm 1,000% sure that's not how you pronounce it, but I love it. Millie Philly, I loved how she ran last time out. She kind of looked bottled up a little bit, and whenever it was time to run, Rosario just kind of took her out, and she just went down the lane and cruised. I mean, it was very professional for only her second start. And then Malathot, the way she ran is just, went to the lead, and then whenever it came, she kind of is She just kind of has that long stride. She's a good looking horse, which is not shocking considering, like you say, who she's bred by. So listen, I like both of them as well. I think you don't need to play more than these two. I think both these horses have very high potential as far as moving forward. But I'm with you. Number one, I'm sorry, Millie Philly, but I'm on Malathot.
I think for the second weekend in a row, we're going to have the fillies run faster than the boys.
Wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
I would almost expect it.
Yeah. I think I would pick either one of them if they're in the rims, and I really like these two. And I feel like they both are on like a progression. You know, they haven't ran that crazy figure yet, but I think they've got it in them. I think it's gonna be exciting. Also, 3 Curlins in the race because you have Malibu Curl too, who's not terrible. So that's so cool to see 3 Curlins in there, and then also there's of course the Curlin in the rims, and so kind of cool.
All right, we got another grade 1 here, and I'm interested. I don't know your opinion of this race yet, so I want to get your thoughts here because I obviously Princess Nora was not good. Princess Nora was not good in the Breeders' Cup, but do you trust Tough Luck Bob to get the horse back in racing shape? We'll find out. All right, 3, 2, 1. And finally, the last race we're going to talk about in rapid fire, we're going to Los Alamitos, and that means it can't. If we're talking about Los Alamitos in December, we're talking about 2-year-old racing. Race 5, the Starlet Stakes. It's a grade 1. It's worth $300K for fillies, 2-year-olds going 1 1/16 miles, and it is another Kentucky Oaks prep race. 10, 4, 2, 1. A field of 5 lines up for this one. We talked about some pretty high price, some pretty high potential fillies running on Saturday, and this race has got a couple of them. Princess Nora, who obviously was a favorite at the Breeders' Cup and faltered badly, even money favorite. So obviously thinking that she will rebound. Bob Baffert dominates this race, really dominates the Los Alamitos winter meet. And then Astute with Mandela, Mike Smith aboard, 7-5. To me, another race where it's between these two horses. You might just play these two and move on. Or do you have a super strong opinion about one of them?
Yeah, I'm with you. Play the 2 and move on. I don't have a super strong opinion about one of them, but I'm fairly confident in Astute to win this race. I think this is an up-and-coming filly that could be really, really good. And again, we're on the same theme as the last race that we talked about. I think Astute is just this horse that just could be really talented. And Hulkster's hilarious.
She'll be laced up. Don't worry.
Yeah, Princess Nora, I think she will run better than she did at the Breeders' Cup. And this is a really, there's nothing besides Astute and Princess Nora, but I don't really want to be rooting for Princess Nora. So I'm going to go Astute on top. I think she gets the job done. I think this is one that we're going to be talking about for a while.
I'm with you. Listen, help me. Let's talk about this together, everybody. Princess Nora.
Okay.
Let's have a session here. Princess Nora is just 3 blowout wins in a row going to the Breeders' Cup. We identified her as being a vulnerable favorite at the Breeders' Cup. We were right about it. We picked the wrong horse, but we were right that she would falter. She did. But coming back, she ran a career high number. We knew the numbers were, we kind of wondered what the numbers were, how real they were, because she'd been running very consistently low buyer figures, but low speed figures going into the Breeders' Cup. She goes in the Breeders' Cup, looks awful, finishes 5th, beaten 4.5. Never really a threat to win the race whatsoever. And she runs an 85 buyer. She increases her buyer speed figures. She increases her speed figures, yet she's worse than she has been the whole year. So to me, that's a pretty big sign to say, not only was the numbers that she was running, that pretty consistent, like she must have ran better than she had been. She's just not as, she's not as good as Vaquist. She's not as good as Day of the Office. She's not as good as Girl Daddy. She's not as good as any of those horses that finished in front of her. I just don't, I just don't think she was beating much. And then she got to that race and she became very vulnerable. I think she'll run better, but Astute to me is much more talented. And it's just a matter of, can she get the distance? And I think she will.
Yeah, and I don't know. A mile and 16th might kind of be the top for her. Maybe she doesn't go any further than this, but I do think that's within her range a little bit. I don't have, I can tell you time form, Astute got a 110, which is still better than the Breeders' Cup Juvenile for Princess Nora, which was 107. What did Astute get buyer-wise for her race last time out?
An 88.
88. So that was better than, didn't you say 85?
85 is what she received. Princess Nora received, and then prior to that, she was running high 70s. Princess Nora was.
Okay, so I think by the numbers, Astute looks a little faster, and you're right. It's just going to depend on if she can get the distance. I think she can. I think she gets on the lead here. I'm not. The problem is with Princess Nora, if she wins here, it's not like, oh, she's back. It's going to be more, to me, the narrative's going to be more like, well, Astute wasn't as good as we thought. Yeah. Princess Nora went from she might be the best horse in the crop to she's kind of the barometer of how good you are all of a sudden. Because she got waxed with absolutely no excuse in the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah.
And the fourth place finisher of that race came back to finish fourth last week in the Goldenrod. So
didn't look great, no.
And that's almost an indication to me that race may have not even been that good to begin with.
Exactly. And with Princess Nora, she increases her buyer 7 points from the Chandelier, which she romped by 8 1/4. Increases her numbers by 7 points and gets blasted. And in her time form numbers, she increases her numbers by 11 points. Mm-hmm. And from that blowout win and gets blasted. So to me, that's just a weird, like she ran her career best race and got blasted. And I think that's why I'm so, if it wasn't Bob Baffert, if it wasn't Tough Luck Bob, I'd be like, toss her out. But I think, just considering who she is and obviously what they've thought of her. And I think you got to play her and Astute and just move on. You could see a situation where Astute runs a really good race and the distance kind of hits her right. You know what I mean? Like it's just a little much for her. And Princess Nora is able to, just by class alone, is able to run her down. So that's why I think you have to play both of them. What do you think of these horses? Obviously, if Astute goes and passes this test with flying colors and wins like she has been, or at least wins impressively over Princess Nora, you got to think like this is right up there with some of these top fillies we've seen, right?
Yeah, especially in California. If Astute wins here, you got to think, well, as a 3-year-old, she's probably going to kind of look like Beholder a little bit, where she just goes and dominates that California scene. So that's possible for her. And yeah, I'll be pretty disappointed if she loses, to be honest, because I think she's awfully good. And Mandela, he doesn't dick around. Like if he thought this horse couldn't get the distance, he wouldn't enter her in the race. That's kind of my thing. It's like he wouldn't mess around and get her beat. He likes to win. He's not, hey, we're going to take a shot here. I'm going to force this horse to the Oaks no matter what. That's not how he operates. So to me, if she loses, I think he'll be pretty surprised as well, the way he's talked about this filly. So, yeah, I kind of think she wins here, and we're talking about her just like we're talking about, Travel Column and the winner of the race at Aqueduct. And so, I think the fillies are starting to look a lot deeper right now than the boys.
100% agree with all that. So number 4, we're both on number 4, Astute. Yeah, I agree with all that. I think we're still like, you feel like the fillies are starting to kind of make a name for themselves while we were kind of sitting waiting for these boys to kind of get going. So
yeah, and
other than obviously the top ones,
right? I think COVID screwed up the schedule, and they're a little late getting going. I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, this class, it doesn't look good. It's just I don't think we've seen a lot of them. Or maybe we've seen them once, and they're getting ready to impress us. So,
all right, let's wrap this puppy up. And again, if we have any comments, questions while we're doing the closing, we'll definitely. Sometimes the closings are, as you call it, the dick around time. So,
it is the dick. Yeah, it's the dick off time. So,
whoa, hang on, I don't know.
Sure, you got any questions, bro? This is it.
Man, maybe it's time for the Brittany Urton question from the Hulkster. No, is it? No, just kidding. Remember the one you said we couldn't talk about? No. All right, 3, 2, 1. That's all the time we have. Check us out at racenews.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our handicap products page with the products link at the main menu at racenews.com. To learn more, remember to go check out that cigar wagering guide. We talked about the cigar and the undercard. Go get the plays, how we're playing that the entire day at the products page at racingdudes.com. If you're a subscriber, you get that for free. Racingdudes.com is your destination site for free horse racing picks to all racing tracks. I kind of changed that up a little bit. I always change the tracks. Like, this is just come to the website. We have free picks. We're on Twitter at RaceRacingDudes, Instagram and Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, even the website at racingdudes.com. Remember, go check out the Magic Mike show. They did the Saturday late pick 4 at Gulfstream Park. It's claiming crown. So that's always a fun day. If you're mad that you and I didn't talk a little bit about the Gulfstream Park card, we'll go check out the Magic Mike show, and they talk all about Gulfstream Park on Saturday. Any last thoughts on what's going on in your boys Baker and your Cardinals lost, but Baker and the Browns, man, that they're what I would love nothing more. They play the Cleveland. I was going to ask a favor from you, actually a Christmas present. Okay. They played the Steelers last week of the year. Mm-hmm. I really need a win there. Because the Steelers, I feel like were a little exposed yesterday. I don't know if they're as good as the record. I know they're not as good as the record indicates. I'm positive of that. They still are very good. But man, I think the Browns can beat them. And if somehow we can if they can lose a game between there and the Chiefs can win out, I need that, because this year with the playoffs, man, it's so messed up. I hate it. So if you're the 2 seed, you don't get that bye, and I want the bye. So I need you guys to do me a favor, win.
Well, I think the Browns can beat the Steelers. A lot is going to depend on what the Browns look like between now and that last game of the year. You got the Browns are 8-3. There's a lot of reasons for optimism, but at the same time, they're still the Browns, right? So they go to Tennessee this week, and if they get beat 40-0. You never know. They might just tank and go down. So we'll see what happens. I definitely think the Browns are the type of team, though, that can beat the Steelers, because I think they can stop them, and I think they can run the ball on them, and I think they can at least keep it close. When it comes right down to it, if the game is really, really important and the Steelers have to win, I think the Steelers will probably win. But I do think the Browns are better. Listen, Cliff Kingsbury, he is the worst coach in the NFL. I'd rather have Adam Gase than Cliff Kingsbury. I have no idea how this guy got an NFL job. This guy is one of the most overrated head coaches there has ever been, ever. Look up his record and tell me how he's an NFL coach. He took over Texas Tech, a program that was in pretty decent shape. And he got fired there. And he got fired justifiably because he wasn't any good. And now he's coaching the Cardinals. I can't believe it, man.
And who is his quarterback?
Now?
No,
Kyler Murray. Oh, Pat Mahomes was his quarterback at Texas Tech. Yeah.
And he got fired. He had Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback, and he still got
He couldn't win. They went like 8-5 with Pat Mahomes. I mean,
come on. I know.
Yeah,
I
this
agree.
guy is a joke.
I've never seen thank goodness I'm not a fan of Arizona, because it's watching the game with you on Sunday. It was just like, what are you doing?
Well, okay, they're driving down. It's 17-17. There's like 4 minutes left in the game. I look at you and I'll say, he'll get across the 50 and he'll play for a field goal. And you're like, no, it's like, yeah, he does it every fucking week. It's like every week we've got Hopkins, we've got Murray, we got all these Kirk, Kenyon Drake, Edmonds, we got all these good players. And when we get in the last part of the game, we try to kick a field goal and win. And every week Gonzalez misses a field goal at the end of the game. Every week. It's like, let's try to score. What are you doing?
If there's anything consistent about Arizona, it's blowing the lot into. They've almost turned into the Browns in terms of ending a game.
And the Patriots are terrible, but you can't. They're very well coached. They're very disciplined. You can't go up there and mess around. If you do, you're going to get beat. And they did, and they got their ass beat. So that's. I think the Browns have a really good coach, but because I don't think the Browns are as good as the Cardinals.
No, they aren't, but they do have the best running back duo in the league by far. The Browns.
They are very good. I love those guys.
There's not. I mean, I guess other than just King Henry by himself, there's not a better running back. Henry is unbelievable. That dude. I mean, Mahomes is your MVP, top guy, and Rodgers is right there. But man, Henry's got to be in the conversation too. That dude is a man child, and what he does is not right.
No.
We had a good question come up here that's racing related. Thoughts on Midnight Bisou being bred to Curlin? That horse should go 37-0. Yeah, I mean, this horse next year is going to be bred to Curlin. She showed up to Hillendale. I mean, you talk about Halterman and I getting jacked up about a horse. Yeah. When that baby comes out, you're going to be thinking Kentucky Derby, your Breeders' Cup. If it's a girl, you're going to be talking Oaks. You're going to be talking whatever the big races are. That kind of breeding, Midnight Bisou. I mean, shit, man, I'm pumped for that. Yeah,
that'll be cool. I'm very excited. Hopefully, I'm alive when that horse runs. It'll be 3 or 4 years.
The way 2020 is going, you never know. You may not. None of us may make it to see this horse run. So,
no.
Here are your. I'm back to football real quick. What now that we are a couple of weeks out, a couple of weeks left, I should say, in the season. You and I at the beginning of the year, obviously the Cowboys pick was atrocious. Didn't help the fact that I don't think you or I thought Andy Dalton would be playing quarterback in December, but even with Dak, they blew a lot of games they should have won. So now we sit here. Who are your teams? Who you think in the NFC, AFC? Are you still Chiefs?
Oh, 100%. I'm still the Chiefs. I think they're the best team, and they're still my Super Bowl team. And by the way, just a quick disclaimer, I'm not a Chiefs fan. He is. I'm not. So I am very unbiased when it comes to them. But as long as number 15 is playing quarterback, they're the favorites. I mean, he's just that damn good. NFC is really interesting because I think any of the 7 teams that qualify for the playoffs have a shot. Because I don't think like Green Bay, New Orleans, they're the top 2 teams right now in the NFC. I really don't think either are that good. Like if Tampa played Green Bay and Tampa won, I don't think it'd be like just a huge upset. Even if Arizona, if they were to win, well, they don't have the coach. Never mind. I think Seattle should be the team that represents the NFC right now. I mean, that would be the one I'd bank on. They have a way of losing games they shouldn't, though. But I think they're the most talented team.
Yeah, the Saints. I feel like they. I don't know. I feel like the Saints. The Seahawks defense concerns me for the playoffs. I think the Rams. I think the Rams could obviously make a run because they got their defense is capable of playing lights out. And if when Goff kind of gets hot and that offense kind of gets going, they can win games that they shouldn't. And so they're one of those teams. Obviously, they're second in the NFC West behind the Seahawks. But to me, they're one of those teams. Green Bay. I mean, I agree. The NFC side, like the AFC side, I feel like if it's not the Chiefs, it's not the Steelers. I mean, the Titans maybe. I still don't believe in the Bills really for as far as a deep playoff team. If it's not one of those, I'd be kind of shocked. But when it comes to the NFC side, I think it's wide open. 49ers will make the playoffs. I don't know about that one, Ron.
Yeah, I don't think they will, but I think they're playing better. Let me ask you this: let's say the Chiefs make the Super Bowl. As a Chiefs fan, who do you not want to see in the Super Bowl from the NFC?
Boy, that's a good question.
I have the right answer, but I want to see if you get it right.
The team that I do not want to see, well, it's close between the Packers and the Seahawks, but I think I might go Seahawks just because we could. Well, I mean, the game would be 100 to 101 or something. Like that's how high scoring that game could be because neither team. I just feel DK would absolutely destroy us, and if he doesn't, I mean, we don't have the guys to cover Lockett and DK, and we certainly can't stop the run on a consistent basis. So, to me, the Seahawks, but obviously Aaron Rodgers, and we couldn't stop him either. So, it'd be close between those two. I wouldn't want to face either one of them. Plus, you've got great coaching with both teams. So I think that's another thing that that would have our hands full.
Yeah,
What's the right answer?
Well, I think Green Bay is the right answer because I think Aaron Rodgers would destroy the Chiefs. So I think they would be the toughest matchup for the Chiefs. Because to me, if you're going to be the team that beats them, they're going to have to score like crazy. Like that's why, like the Titans last year, and you were all nervous they're getting ready to play the Titans. And there's no way they can't score enough. They cannot score enough. And even San Francisco, like San Francisco easily could have won that Super Bowl, but going in, I really wasn't worried for you because it's like they can't score enough. Green Bay would score a lot. I mean, I think they could match them, and Seattle could too. They're both good answers. I think it's one of those two. I think the Chiefs would stop New Orleans because the thing the Chiefs can do is get to the quarterback. So if it's Breeze back there, I think they could get to him. But when it's Wilson and Rodgers, they're mobile enough that I think they can buy some time. And that's bad news because the secondary to me is the weakness for the Chiefs. So those are the two. Those are the two I'd be worried about.
The Seahawks have scored 341 points this year, and the Green Bay has scored 349. So, I mean, they're both right there. The Chiefs 348. So, yeah, as far as matching up, Green Bay, both those teams certainly can match up. Yep. Defense is a lot better on Green Bay than the Seahawks, obviously. Green Bay, I think the more like just because of the defense side of things too, Green Bay would be the team I would least like to face. But man, from a if I can get my nervousness out of the way from just a pure fan of the game, Packers Chiefs, boy, that would be a fun Super Bowl to watch for sure. I mean, it'd be a show put on as far as that goes. Let's see. Exactly why are there horse races being ran at 1 mile and 70 yards? Does it become a war of attrition in the final 70 yards? It's the way that like some tracks. Yeah. Some horses are only meant to run a mile, so that last 70 yards, it really becomes anyone's game.
Serious answer is because of the way the tracks are configured. Best answer is yes. It's that 70 yards is a killer at the end. No question about it.
Not many horses can go. A lot of horses can go a mile. Not many can go a mile and 70 yards. So.
It's like the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile was actually ran at a mile and 70 because of the way Keeneland's set up. They can't run mile races. So
yeah, there's actually fun fact. There was actually kind of a debate between that because it was listed everywhere as a mile because it's a dirt mile. And then we got one thing from the Breeders' Cup saying a mile and 70 yards, and I thought, well, which one is it? And there was they actually had to go to the actual track and to the people and be like, what is this race going to be ran at? Because we need to know. And it was, like you say, it was a mile and 70 yards. So Knicks go.
Knicks go.
Knicks go. All right, that wraps it up. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend.
Extra 70 yards means they are around.
Oh, man. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And the Hulkster, you're not going to get it. Not today.
Well, I mean, we're technically – nobody's watching now, right?
We got some people on.
Oh, yeah. They're sticking on their Hulkster.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. You should have asked me last week. I would have answered it.
Yeah, that's true. We would have got way too much from you on that answer last week. The Hulkster, wherever you're from, hit us up or whatever track you go to, and we're there.
Yep.
Hit us up over drinks. I guarantee you'll get a very detailed answer on that question. But for right now, we can't do it.
I honestly know the answer. That's the thing. Like I have my answer.
I've known my answer for years. I mean,
and it's a different answer, but we are solid with the answers.
Yep, very strong opinion is what
the one we would kill is where the problem gets in.
I think I know I'd kill, but I'd hate to do it.
I would too, but I think I know. I think it's the same person. So.
Okay, that's enough. Well, I want to get off here so I can get what yours is. So. You just have to wait, Hulkster. All right. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.